Well, I was working at a campground as an on-site park ranger housekeeper for a few years down in Mount Vernon, then transferred in October up to Birch Bay, which was a much smaller park. That park had, I was the fifth employee, and then that was including the manager, maybe six including the manager. During the time of COVID, when I had started at Thousand Trails previously, I had a past brain tumor and they've done surgery. Since then, I've regained most of my facilities, but when I get anxious or emotional, sometimes my brain stutters, if you will. So I get confused and kind of, I get anxious and start using wrong words, or I'll do the wrong thing and that sort of thing. So around February, March, somewhere in there, uh, people started getting sick at work, different illnesses, things like that. There were less employees down to the manager was running two parks, so she was not coming in. The assistant manager, then her husband had gotten cancer, daughter gotten COVID, so she was out. My mother had an accident. Just a bunch of stuff happened. Ended up for a couple of weeks where I was kind of the main employee that knew how to use the computers and register people, things like that. But that was not my main thing. When I started out, I was kind of supposed to detour from the ranger and do more housekeeping because I'm not good with stressful situations, accounts, monthly rentals, different annual sites, things like that. Take a lot of brain work. But I was in the position where we really had no choice. The park was housing so many people, and they are full-time RVers. And if we close the park and people aren't there to work and do their job, then these people are out on their butt and don't have somewhere to go. So we all kind of, my boss and I think, knew that it was going to be a downpour for me, but it was either stay and do that job and function on the ranger end mainly. And I screwed up a lot of things, and in that, it became overwhelming. I had to talk with corporate, almost got fired. Basically ended up resigning, realizing that this wasn't going to be the last time. And the next time, I couldn't just lose the job I'd done so well for so many years over things. So I went ahead and resigned and thought, well, I'll get a better paying job anyway. I'm still making minimum wage, even with promotions. So I'll just get a better paying job. And I saved up my money. I knew I wasn't paying rent where I was at, so I expected that. I took $6,500, and it's what I lost in about the amount of 2 weeks. I bought a shuttle bus to convert that. The transmission unknowingly was blown. I couldn't afford to replace it, so someone talked me into trading it for a great running van. I traded it. That lasted 1 hour before it threw a piston through the engine, so I got $300 out of $6,500 worth of vehicles. And so I was left with very little money. Of course, this is minimum wage, what I saved along with all the stimulus payments. So that's how I had all that money, was this, because I was making minimum wage. But at that point, I'd lost all the recent stimulus money, everything. Ended up selling my reliable truck and buying a $500 car just so I had money to maintain, so that I could, it's actually quite expensive to live homeless unless you're outside asking other people for money. To avoid that, I used every asset I had. I was denied rooms to rent because I'm not in my 20s. And when I had money to pay for rent, I was denied room for rent because I'm not in my 20s, going to college. By the time I found rooms that would take me that weren't for college students, I was running lower on cash and then didn't have the money to pay the deposits there. Then by the time I found somebody who would loan me the money, pay the deposits, those rooms were rented. I was accepted into a clean and sober housing, even though I don't have a active habit. I claimed that I was having an active habit because I felt that was really the only option I had left to find a place to live that I could afford. I had transitioned into another job that was paying me $16 an hour, so I was doing well with that. But she didn't know my situation. I didn't really make that clear. I thought it would be okay and I would get everything structured and settled. As it just kept winding down, I ended up losing that job. I was leaving in my car. It's getting hotter. I had to have the dog in the car with me. When my boss found I was leaving my car, it's unprofessional I was doing housekeeping at residences. That's unprofessional. So I couldn't keep my job there. So then I was jobless, and thank God for tiny homes, because the only option I had. I mean, yeah, I feel like it was forced. I've turned my life around. I have a criminal history that is so old, there's no way that people can hold it against me. It's from when I was 18. But yet I'm finding myself in this position regardless. I wasn't given options. Really, every option I thought was out there isn't out there anymore. Well, I just thought I'm paying roughly between 150 $200 every paycheck in taxes. And we have a lot of resources here. So I really thought that there would be a resource for me. When I called Opportunity Council and I called DSHS, I finally was able to qualify for food stamps that I hadn't qualified before. So I was able to get help with that. Opportunity Council basically, actually, not basically, literally told me that I fall right into the place of not making a list anywhere for help because I had money, I'm capable, I do qualify for disability, but I took myself off disability in October because I was working full time and felt that if I'm functioning, I shouldn't be getting money from the government. So I figured, with as much money as we're paying in taxes, the amount of resources we have here in Washington, that I would head out and I would, when it came down to it, that I would be able to make some list, especially because I can get back on my feet. And I figured, well, I'll put it this way. I figured the government would, want to help people get back on their feet. And that's why we're paying so much in taxes, right? But no, I don't qualify. I didn't have a habit, and my disability, I'm not receiving the Social Security anymore, regardless. And I don't want to lie and say I need so I'm being honest about the amount of help I just function too well, apparently. Yeah, I fall in that qualification. I have no disability that qualifies me. I have no drug habit that qualifies me, and I had money. And now I have no money, but I'm still not qualified because I'm a functioning adult, is basically what that boils down to. The shelters and things, I think, in the past, the reason that I have felt that I needed to avoid those by all the plagues, by all means, is that when you go in, you have to, I know they're trying to be helpful, but a lot of people don't want to have to go to see counselors or be, um, I guess it is about the rules and regulations. When you're a full grown adult, you want just a chance to go out and be a full grown adult rather than step into a situation where all of a sudden, you're answering to people, you can't live your own life, you know what I mean? And a lot of those organizations are good, and a lot of the things they ask you to do is good, but they also don't, like the clean and sober housing that I almost got into. I would have had to go to an NA or AA meeting every day, every single day, either by Zoom or some other such thing. And a lot of times, for some, I hate to say it, but for some people, one of the main reasons I've stayed clean and sober for so long is because I don't think about drugs constantly. I believe in that, the classes, things like that, the things people mandate. But there's a lot of people that, if you're thinking about it constantly, you're going to go off and do stuff. If you go out, though, and you're functioning and doing things and finding, your own life and distracting yourself from things, a lot of times that can be a lot better than having to go around a bunch of people. And the fact is when you go into a shelter, they have these rules because they assume that everybody is functioning the same and everybody is there for the same reason. So although I understand the conformity and all the rules and regulations and the things they want you to do and attend, I do understand them. It doesn't work for everybody because, it's just like in school. They have individual education plans because not the same thing works for every single person. But it's a organization thing. You can't get through those barriers. I've had my family members also extend down to my dog and my cat, or my son's cat. Those organizations, I couldn't go into the clean and sober. That's why I didn't get in there, because I won't give up, my best friend, who is also a certified emotional support animal, but they will not recognize that and allow him to go with me. The fact is all people are different. We all have issues, but we're not treated differently. We are all treated and formatted the same exact way when it comes down to homelessness, and they want us all to conform in the same exact way, but we're all different. So that is definitely why it wouldn't work in a shelter. That, and I can't take my best friend with me, and I know my best friend would never leave me. I'm not going to leave him. We also have an animal crisis and overpopulation in the world, and if this was a thing that was seen and taken care of as well, then maybe we wouldn't have so much of that. I know a lot of people that end up having no choice but to leave their dog somewhere where they're going to go and create and cause problems in that aspect of life. So it's just all together. People are all different, and having different organizations, different thing, like tiny homes is run differently, and that works for people like me. And then there's
Tell me a little bit how it's run differently and how that compares.
well, it's basically, it's much more comfortable to come about around people that I can associate with, see that, yeah, everybody's suffering with their own problems, but we're all working together for the same goal. It's not like, oh, hey, here's a bunch of rules, you all follow these. You know what I mean? It's not just a single entity saying, hey, conform to this. You all need to do this to be here. Instead, it's more of, to me, it's more inviting, because it's just accepting of, hey, you have problems and you're homeless. Well, come in here, work on your problems on your own. Let's work together as a community, but we'll take care of our own selves in our own way. And frankly, whatever problem you have in life as an adult, that's nice to have. To be able to be yourself and to have that independence that America screams so much that we have. It's being here is giving me the independence that I believe that we were supposed to have a long time ago, but it's been ripped from us. Because when you need help, we don't have our independence. The independence is taken away. And that's mainly why I hate shelters, it's hard to go out and seek help, because when you seek help, you lose your independence in some varying degree, sometimes greatly, sometimes a little, but either way, you're losing independence, and having to live some other person's life or idea of life, an idea of how to make your life better. And a lot of times it's not how to make your life better.